Laid off teachers, bigger class sizes, and massive cuts. Who wants to join the Anchorage School Board?
Election day is tomorrow in Anchorage. We're looking at the bonds, what those paid for, and how much everything costs.
It was once the largest building in Fairbanks. Now it's coming down. The future of the Polaris building.
And snowstorms are lining up for the interior. I'll show you the latest advisories. And further south, rain is back in the forecast.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
And we're starting with breaking news right now. The Government Hill Bridge has closed in both directions because of a traffic issue.
And this is a live look there right now. Anchorage police urging people to use different routes around this. We do have a crew on scene gathering information right now, and we will update you as soon as possible.
And tonight we're going to start with the newest look at Mount Spur. Alaska's news source meteorologist Melissa Fry took a helicopter to the volcano yesterday. And of course, Alaska is home to more than 140 volcanoes. Nearly 100 of those are active, but it's not every day that we have one showing signs of activity in our own backyard.
That's right. Melissa, tell us a little bit about your experience seeing that volcano. You were so close.
So close. Yeah, I was excited to see it and obviously wanted to see, how it had changed in the weeks since we had seen any current video. But once you fly over it that close, it definitely had an eerie feeling, all the signs that it was active. And I do want to show you a couple other photos and videos. This is what it looked like inside. And what was really surprising to me to see it in person yesterday was the greens and yellows of that sulfur lake that is formed there in the crater. And look at all that steam coming off from it. That was obvious. And also what was so impressive to me is just the scale and the size. Here's some of that video as we wrapped around the mountains there surrounding Spur. It is just such vast wilderness. And when you look to it from Anchorage, it's just our backdrop. We often see that silhouette at sunset that's so beautiful. But you get over there and you realize just how dynamic it is, all the beautiful glaciers, the hundreds, thousands of mountain peaks in the area. We saw some people heli-skiing, enjoying that beautiful powdery snow. So really just a gorgeous place. We do have a full story, though, coming up later this week on, again, that flight and what we saw on that journey. We are also, again, tonight still tracking the conditions on Spur, which it is still under an advisory. Nothing has changed there. The earthquakes are ongoing, and the steam, like you saw there from yesterday, still ongoing as well. But the AVO is still expecting more activity before a possible eruption. The main thing they're looking for is that tremor, that ongoing earthquake, which we have not seen just yet. In other weather news, we are tracking snow across the interior. Winter weather advisories in effect. Heavy snow east and south of Fairbanks ongoing tonight. I'll have more on that coming up here a little bit later in the newscast. But first, you can see those temperatures back into the mid-40s. Sunny in Anchorage tomorrow. Snow showers in Fairbanks. Increasing clouds in Juneau and a little rain-snow mix in Bethel. Rebecca?
And of course, now is the time. Download the Alaska's Weather Source app to stay on top of any weather updates.
And as we continue to keep our eyes on Mount Spur, you still have time to check out our special presentation of Volcano Watch. It aired on Friday, but you have 3 ways to watch it: via our website, YouTube channel, and our free streaming services. In the special, we cover everything from the history of eruptions to the science behind the latest advisory. Also, advice on how you can prepare for the likely eruption.
Educators in the Anchorage School District were told they could lose their jobs or get reassigned. That full story is on our website now. But for now, we look at who wants to help run the school district.
Johnson Kuhn spoke with the school board president about the problems facing the district. Tomorrow is Election Day, Johnson.
That's right. Incumbent Margot Bellamy is campaigning to keep her seat against Alexander Rosales, while incumbent Kelly Lessons is doing the same against Mark Anthony Cox. But no matter who may prevail, the school board president, Andy Holman, says it's a challenging time for the district. From budget cuts to teacher vacancies, the district continues to face difficult decisions with no easy solutions. In February, the board unanimously voted on an amendment that could potentially reverse many of the program cuts, but Holman says that depends on increased funding from the state, which has still yet to be confirmed.
A whole lot of programs that people really love and feel like are key to their academic success are on the chopping block. And so for all of us on the board or anyone that might join the board, trying to figure out what to cut that does the least harm and how to keep things functioning through a period of uncertainty Those are kind of the big challenges.
Holman added that he urges voters to be mindful of what he calls simple solutions being offered for difficult issues, such as fair student treatment and qualified teachers, saying the issues are simple only if students have the same backgrounds or resources, which he says is far from a reality. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
There are 15 ballot propositions, but you won't see all of them. Some are neighborhood specific.
Tracy Sinclair is at the touchboard with a look at a few of those propositions tonight. Tracy.
Yeah, John and Rebecca, the Anchorage School District is asking Anchorage to borrow up to $63.8 million for improvements and renovations to school buildings, including security improvements to several elementary schools. This is what Proposition 1 is, and it would increase Anchorage area taxes by about $12.90. Now, Proposition 2 is for those in the Anchorage road and drainage system and asks if Anchorage should issue a bond of $33.7 million as well as an increase to the municipal tax cap for acquisition, construction, renovation, and upgrades. This would increase Anchorage taxes by $7.86 per $100,000 of assessed value. Now, if you combine all of 10 of the propositions that would impact the largest number of Anchorage residents, the total change to taxes would be an increase of $44.94 each year. We have details about the candidates and those bond propositions on our website, and you'll want to join us tomorrow night on the late edition for those early results.
Well, of course, half the Anchorage Assembly is up for election this year. Joe Allgood is live at the Lusac Library Voting Center with details. Joe.
Anchorage voters continue to drop their ballots here at the library, which also is host to the Anchorage Assembly Chambers. And those Assembly Chambers will be seeing some new faces. This election will tell us how many. The municipality follows a 3-year cycle where half the Anchorage Assembly is up for election at a time, and then the mayor in the 3rd year. So this year, the usual 6 seats are up for election, but only 2 Assembly members are running for re-election, which means the Assembly is bound to have at least 4 new members, maybe even 6. Anchorage voters will have the opportunity to cast their ballots for the 6 seats, as well as the various ballot propositions and the school board. We'll start seeing results soon as tomorrow evening, and we'll soon know what that means for the Anchorage Assembly.
It's always interesting. I've met with a few of the folks who I think are probably going to win their races just to start the conversation. And, it's an honorable job, and I look forward to serving with honorable people to do the work of the city.
Voting centers will open at 7 tomorrow morning, and there are also 18 different drop boxes throughout the city for people to drop their ballots. Those will both be open until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
So you're going to check out these lines. This is the PFD office today. Applications are due, of course, tonight. Fill out an application now. It is due by 11:59 tonight.
Well, in the Capitol tonight, lawmakers are putting Alaska's relationship with our easterly neighbors in the spotlight. A joint resolution being considered by the Senate Resources Committee, in part, opposes tariffs on Canada as state lawmakers discuss moving forward with a formal recognition of Alaska's long-held connection with the country. This comes after Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney told President Donald Trump last week that Canada will retaliate against the U.S. in response to the Trump administration's promise of import taxes. Reuters is reporting that a quote-unquote buy Canadian movement is already affecting U.S.-based companies that bank on selling their products in Canada. Now, House lawmakers considered the same resolution earlier this month. It passed in the House in a 33-4 vote. The Senate does have its own similar resolution in the form of SJR 9. You can read more and see the full text of the resolutions by visiting our website.
And we're going to look at what was once the largest building in Fairbanks.
Yeah, when things could advance at the Polaris building and what the space could be used for in the future.
And getting set for a busy summer, we take you to the reindeer farm in Palmer. A North Pole school bus driver faces several charges after being arrested by Alaska State Troopers last week. Court documents say that 24-year-old Lawrence Dunlap was driving an empty school bus when troopers got calls about him driving erratically. Now, that included driving the opposite direction of North Pole High School. And after stopping him, troopers say Dunlap was angry and threatened them. And after tests, troopers concluded he was under the influence, and they say that he had 2 guns.
Well, demolition is set to resume this summer on the historic Polaris building in downtown Fairbanks. The structure, opened in 1952, was once the tallest in Fairbanks. It was abandoned in 2001, being condemned as a health hazard by the city in 2012. The structure has been undergoing deconstruction since April of 2023. Already a few floors have been removed from the top of the building. The contractor has planned to resume tearing down the building in the middle of April. However, water is being used in the project to help keep man-made chemicals in the concrete from entering the air. Because of this, the weather must first get warm enough before the process can restart.
The water supply for the work is coming from the utilidor, which is heated underground. But in the basement of the tower itself, it's cold down there still, like frost penetration in the ground's about 6-7 feet. So it's cold in the basement. He could put some temporary heat in, but where we're using it above ground, if it's water and then it freezes, it just makes a mess for everything and it makes it unsafe for the workers.
During deconstruction, downtown Fairbanks will see road closures on First Avenue and Lacey Street. According to the gentleman we just heard from, the goal is to have the building completely torn down by the end of this year's construction season. And once it is torn down, it's unclear what happens next to the property. According to that gentleman, the city is looking at either selling or leasing the property.
And snow is falling there tonight in Fairbanks with more on the way. Winter weather advisories in effect. I'll have the latest on your extended forecast coming up. But first, take a look at those daylight hours tonight. We're up to over 13 hours of daylight across the entire state, still gaining nearly 6 minutes of daylight each day in Anchorage and nearly 7 minutes in Fairbanks.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.